Good day, everyone. I am Brian, moderator for this webinar. Welcome, everyone, for today's webinar Leaves of Absence when FMLA is just not enough. Please note you are placed in a listen only mode for the duration of the webinar. We will have a Q&A session at the end. Also, this webinar will be made available for purchase in form of DVD, e-transcript, and recorded link as the session is being recorded. I would now like to introduce our presenter for today, Susan Fahey Desmond. Susan Fire Desmond is a partner with McGlinchey Stafford PLLC, which has offices in 33 states across the country. She has been representing management in all areas of labor and employment law for over 35 years. A noted author and speaker, Susan is listed in Best Lawyers in America and has been named by Chambers USA as one of America's leading business lawyers. I would now like to hand over the floor to the speaker. Over to you, Susan.
Excuse me there. Thank you, Brian, and I do welcome everyone to today's program. Talking about a very, very serious topic, and that obviously that's dealing with employees' leaves of absences. Now, hopefully, you would like employees to be there from the time they're supposed to be there to the time they're supposed to leave. But we do know that employees from time to time do need a leave of absence for health conditions or other reasons. As I go through the presentation here today, it is very important that I do my typical disclaimer and that everyone does understand that the presentation and the materials that I have prepared for you for today are for informational purposes only and should not be used as a substitute for legal advice as to a particular matter. Obviously, when I'm talking about leaves of absences, I'm talking about a lot of different laws, how they interact with one another. But of course, I'm only covering federal laws and some related state laws to the extent that they do interact with the federal laws. But do keep in mind that there are states that may provide greater rights than the laws that I'm talking about today. For example, California may require some of the leave to be paid. I think New York is another state that would require some of the leave to be paid. But obviously, due to the format of this presentation, I cannot cover the laws of all 50 states. So it is for this reason it's always very necessary to get competent legal advice as to a particular factual pattern, because usually one little fact can change the entire answer. So again, these are just generalities today. I'm going to skip over my firm's commercial here, and let's get right into our presentation. The laws and the policies that I will be talking about today, and the ones that you want to consider when you are talking about employees' leaves of absences, would include the Family and Medical Leave Act, the Americans with Disabilities Act, and the amendments to that act, state laws that may provide greater rights than the FMLA and ADA. But again, due to the format of this presentation, I cannot cover the laws of all of those states. Yes, we also will be talking about state workers' compensation laws. Again, state workers' comp is very uniquely state law, but I will be talking about generalities with regard to state compensation laws, with regard to things like coverage, when it does require leave of absence and that type of thing, or when a leave of absence might be protected and that type of thing. And that usually does not vary from state to state with a couple of different nuances. So typically when I am talking about here state workers' comp, I'm not getting into the nitty gritty of workers' comp. I'm not getting into the schedules or anything like that. I'm getting into those leaves of absences and how they may be protected or otherwise. I'll also need to talk about your short-term or your long-term disability policies, and again, your own policies. What have you promised to your employees, whether it be in a handbook or another policy or the like? Of course, we'll hold you to your promises, so you do need to make sure that you are checking out your own policies with regard to employees' leaves of absences. Let's first of all talk about the Family Medical Leave Act and understanding the purpose. The FMLA actually came about due to a situation in Texas. There was a father in Texas who had a daughter who was undergoing who had a serious health condition, was undergoing some serious medical treatments that did require her to be hospitalized quite frequently. And the man was trying to drive to the hospital, which was a good distance away from his home, trying to drive there on a daily basis to be there for his daughter, but also to be at work. And ultimately, he ended up in the hospital himself because he had overworked himself. And Congress paid attention to that situation and did introduce the Family and Medical Leave Act.
Thank you for watching. To watch the complete webinar, visit profstraining.com, or you can register through the given link in description of this specific webinar.